How you doing, my family and friends? Good morning. You know, over 20 years ago, um, I used to talk to some of my friends, some of my acquaintances, and share my experience with them the way I do with you many times. And I remember telling a few of them, I said, you gotta be careful what you do and how you live your life and some of the actions that you do, because you could be enjoying life, living, having fun at others' expense. But what you gotta realize is that everything is getting tallied up. And I remember saying the piper. I mentioned the piper, meaning the devil. He'll slip the rug from right under your feet. So what he would do is that he would let you, have fun, drink, get high, have multiple sex partners, be a drug dealer, steal, scam, and you could be enjoying life, buying expensive cars, dressing with the finest clothes, having the most beautiful women, and living this life. But everything is getting added up, it's getting tallied up. And when the piper comes to collect, right? And you don't know when that is, but when the piper comes to collect and now you gotta pay, you don't know how you're gonna have to pay. You don't know if you're gonna have to pay by experiencing an early death, by going to prison, by dealing with sickness, by losing a loved one. You don't know what the cost is gonna be when everything is tallied up, and when he comes to collect, when he comes to slip the rug from right under your feet. So this is why you gotta be cautious and you gotta be careful how you live your life and what you do with your time, with your resources, with your money. Because if you're enjoying life at others' expense, then that blood, that hurt is gonna cry out from the ground. The same way when Cain killed his brother Abel, and the Bible talks about how Abel's blood was crying from the ground. So I mention all of this, and I say this because something that's happening now in the news is a hot topic is P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, Sean Puffy Combs. He was, for over 30 years, living the best life that anyone could dream of living. Hundreds of thousands, millions and millions of dollars, the most beautiful women, the most expensive mansions, private jets, all the fame and fortune that a person could even dream of. A person could even want to be in his situation. Jennifer Lopez as his girlfriend. I remember when I was sitting in prison looking at all of this and saying, wow, that's very attractive. My goodness, man. Jennifer Lopez, oh my goodness. And when you fast forward now 30 plus years later to the situation he's in right now, that's an example of the piper coming to collect. Now the piper's coming to collect. Everything is tallied up. Everything is, because pride comes before the fall. And there's a passage that I spoke on a while back that says, when you exalt yourself, God will humble you. And when you humble yourself, God will exalt you. So when you consider pride and how dangerous that is, just because it causes you to lift yourself up. That's what happened to Lucifer, to Satan, the devil. Pride got a hold of him, consumed him, and he wanted to be more than what he really was. And this is what happened to P. Diddy. He put himself with all the resources, with all the blessings, with everything that God has given him, with the talents, with all the opportunities and where he was able to take it to. He let pride cause his downfall because he couldn't humble himself. And look, when you exist, when you build your existence off of hurting others, there's a price to pay for that. There's a very high price to pay for that. And this is what we got to understand. You know, and I experienced this. This is why I'm speaking on it. And I'm sharing it because there's others now that's caught up in that right now. They don't care how people are being affected by the actions that they do and, you know, how they choose to live their life, how they choose to make their money. They're not thinking about nobody else. They only thinking about themselves and how they're going to satisfy, you know, that lust, how they're going to satisfy that, you know, that bug, man, that, you know, that you want to be the man, you know. And nah, man, you got to be careful, man. You got to be humble, man, humility. Because I'm telling you, man, pride comes before the fall. Look at now. Look at the situation that he's in right now. Where, look, pride has such a hold on him that he thought because he was able to put together a $50 million bond bail package that he was guaranteed his freedom. So I could imagine his thought process behind, you know, look, I'm just going to put this bail package. I'm going to turn myself in and I'm going to keep it moving. And I'm going to deal with it. And I'm going to see how I'm going to get out of it. But nah, man, it's not that easy, man. When the piper comes to collect, he's coming to collect, man. He's coming to collect. And what's done in the dark shall come to the light. You know, he had no idea that when he chose to beat up Cassie like that, that video was going to get out to the masses. And now, you know, and now he's in a position, he's in a predicament right now. Tight spot right now. You know, tight spot. And I could relate, not as much on that scale, but I could relate to living one day on top of the world, and then the next day you locked up in a 4x10 cell, 4x8, 6x8, whatever that cell size is. You go from living, you know, in your mansion, in your nice condo, in your nice apartment, with your nice bedroom, with your beautiful woman, and all of that, and all of a sudden it gets stripped away from you, and they lock you up in a cell, and they telling you that you facing X amount of years. To me, it was 25. To him, they telling him life. And that's this is a big learning lesson for all of us to learn from this right here. We got to learn from this right here, where we got to strive, we got to fight, and we got to make sure that we're walking in humility and that we're being humble. And, you know, and I got to catch myself many times myself, man. I got to catch myself many times myself, because, you know, sometimes I see myself gearing towards down that lane where I want to, you know, be bigger than what I am. No, I'm the dust. From dust we was made, to dust we should return, man. We nothing. And, you know, it's a blessing that I'm even able to be here saying what I'm saying right now, breathing this air, walking, that I was able to go to work yesterday, that, you know, that I'm able to enjoy my family today, and that I was able to go to church. You see what I'm saying? It's a blessing, man. But you cannot, you know, build your existence and hurting others, bro. And hurt people. And I don't think he ever really, you know, I don't think Puff Daddy even, you know, checked his mental health, man. For as smart and as talented as he is, you know, he was never able to get the wisdom. And he was next to pastors. He would talk about God all the time. But just because you're standing next to a pastor, you talk about God all the time, that doesn't guarantee that you know God, that you have a relationship with him, and that you're being humble. You know, it's tricky, man. It's very tricky, man. I gotta, check my own self many times, examine myself, examine my heart. Why do I think some of the things that I think? Why do I do some of the things that I do? And I constantly gotta examine myself, whether I'm in the spirit, in the flesh, if God is pleased, and what that looks like. And we just gotta take one day at a time. But let us learn from this right here. Let us all learn from what's going on right now with him. Because, man, it's a tough situation. It's a tight spot, man. And I wish him the best. I wish that, somehow, some way, he's able to become a better person and give back, make amends. I don't know what that looks like, man, but for him. But I know what it looked like for me. And this is why I share this right here, man. Once upon a time felon, unashamed for Christ, forever saved.